we're unraveling this conspiracy against humans and humanity itself. And this is really important to understand, that there is a conspiracy against humanity. They cannot conspire against the universe itself. They can't conspire against your soul. They can't conspire against any being who has conscious awareness. So what did they do? The first thing they had to do was remove your ability to access conscious awareness of yourself, of existence, of creation, and most importantly, of evolution. As a universal being, okay, that's who you are first and foremost. You're not human in your family, in your life first. That's the extension for this little tiny part of your existence in your participation in evolution as a whole for creation itself. The goal is for all of humanity to be restored, not just a few, not just gifted humans, every human. Why? Because it's our right. This is what we were meant to experience. We were meant to have full awareness. You were never meant to be cut off. And in order to wake up all of your senses, so not just, okay, I can believe in this, I can stretch my mind, I can believe in that. They want you to remember everything. Okay, and the Creator says, it's time for you to remember everything. As a human being, you're an explorer of your own potential. When was the last time you explored your potential? Because when you explore your potential, you feed your soul, you feed your cells, and you feed the universe. Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Vickers, and this is part 50 of the story of creation. Now, if you haven't been following along, we've been talking with universal beings so that we can get the truth of our original origins and bring them back to the awareness of humans. That's our goal in this series. And today, let's see, we've got a lot of the primal universal beings. And when I say primal, I mean they hold space for the basic origins of existence. So today we've got Pan, we've got Angelics, we've got Gaia, so Mother Earth. These are just, and it's really important to understand that these are names that I associate with them. You may have a different name that you use, and that's brilliant. There's no right or wrong. It's remembering that the human mind loves names and labels so that we can easily reference different aspects of existence or our own life, right? So if you have a different name, don't get caught up in the logistics of that. That is amazing. Just keep going. The whole point is that you're accessing information, okay? And that's what I want you to keep doing. So don't worry if I call them a different name than you call them. Just take your time and allow yourself to feel into the energy of each being, because that's going to give you the awareness you need. It doesn't really matter what anyone's name is, to be honest, and that's the tricky part as humans, right? Is we feel so recognized by our name and our label, what we do and what we've accomplished in our life. But when I'm connecting with someone, I'm feeling their energy. I often won't remember names, but that's because what's more important to me is who you are and how you feel and who you're being in the world, right? And how you're making me feel. That's what we want most, is we want to recognize other humans and ourselves for our experiences. And whether we recognize that or not is a whole other story. So today we have all of these beautiful primal beings, and Pan is going to speak for the most part. He's going to lead today. So Pan he's like the masculine counterpart to Mother Earth, in the sense that he ensures fertility. He ensures fruition, if you will, right? So, you can have an idea or a concept, but until you bring it into fruition, you can't experience it. So he is the master of understanding how to follow through to make sure something comes into fruition. So it's pretty incredible, actually. And for him, he wants to explain, he wants to share that existence isn't quite how it's been, well, how it's been portrayed. It's not even close. But what we've been talking about in the story of creation up until now is about to, like, he's showing me, it's like explode. And the reason that what's going to explode is actually the understanding and the awareness. Okay. So what we want to talk about today is your relationship to creation. And this is where actually all the challenges are coming from, to be completely honest, is because most of us have a story in our head that tells us our relationship to creation. Okay. And most of us don't believe that it's even possible to get information about existence, that it's possible to have a conversation with the creator, that it's possible to have a conversation with your soul or any universal being for that matter. Most of us don't believe it's possible to have direct access to every piece of knowledge and information in existence. But it is. In fact, that's how you were created. And so anytime you find yourself wanting for something, it's recognition that you're not using your naturally born talents, gifts, abilities. You know, a lot of, and here's the challenge, right? Over the last few thousand years, we've portrayed the ability to receive information as mystical, right? There's mystics that have been around for thousands of years, right? There's still people who we reference. And it's understanding that just the idea, right? The idea of mysticism, the idea of extra sensory abilities, if you will, are portrayed as not normal. They're a gift. And here's the truth is every human has them. Every human. So those who portray them as something special and something unique, it's important to understand that we live in a world that needs to prove itself to each other. Okay. And that is all based on all the beliefs that we've talked about in from part 1 to part 49. Okay. And what they want you to begin to understand is we're unraveling the lies, right? We're unraveling this conspiracy against humans and humanity itself. And this is really important to understand that there is a conspiracy against humanity. Okay. They cannot conspire against the universe itself. They can't conspire against your soul. They can't expire. They can't conspire against any being who has conscious awareness. Okay. So what did they do? The first thing they had to do was remove your ability to access conscious awareness of yourself, of existence, of creation, and most importantly, of evolution, right? Because we are evolution. You are it. And ultimately, it's really beautiful because it's like nature they're showing me this beautiful, it's like 3D, right? It's popping out. So it's not just a vision, I'm in it. And that's what they want you to understand is you're a part of it. You're a part of this world and this creation. You're not, it's funny, it's when we were kids, when you were a child and you would color pictures, and it's like cutting out a piece of paper version of you and putting you in that picture. And like, oh, I wish I could be in this world. And I wish I could do this. And all of those daydreams, if you will, or imagination stories that we were taught or trained or told ourselves, the fact that you were trained to think of reality as imagination is part of the problem. Okay. They want you to start to feel that awareness, right? The most incredible movies, the ones that take you out of time and space in your current existence and they plop you down into a different reality. And then we've been told it's an underlying belief. And this is what they want you to feel is it's imagination, it's storytelling. It's not real. It's not real. And yet, how many times in film, in artistry, do we see dragons portrayed? Do we see extraterrestrials portrayed? Do we see different worlds where different beings and different experiences happen, where humans can happen to part human and they can breathe underwater and they can exist underwater? We've been told this is fantasy. It's been labeled as fantasy. It's been labeled as imagination, storytelling. And what happens is those labels have disconnected you from reality. They have brought you into an illusion that is the word they're using is conformed. It's filled with conformity. And every one of your beliefs has to fit into the files of this conformity, if you will. So a lot of times when we hear information, we automatically brush it off. Oh, that's not real, or this isn't real. Okay. But there's both sides because we've got the fantasy world and then we've got the other side that tells us about exorcisms, that tells us about, all of these crazy things, but this is how it is. And these are how those crazy people, and these are the only people that can remove, nasty beings from your life, right? None of this is true. None of it. That's the crazy part. Because as a universal being, okay, that's who you are first and foremost. You're not human in your family, in your life first. That's the extension for this little tiny part of your existence in your participation in evolution as a whole for creation itself. And this is what we're trying to bring back to you is the understanding and the awareness of the enormity, if you will. It seems enormous, right? But the enormity of your potential compared to the life you're living. There's a reason you feel inspired and overwhelmed at the same time, right? When you're meant to be part of something that is massive and it is so much bigger than you. And there's parts of you that are, how are we going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this in the time that I have left in this life? Right? How many times do we think about that? And then we go, okay, hold on a minute. If I am meant to do this, it's going to happen. Right? And then we slowly start to shift into believing and allowing. And what they're saying now is it's time to start allowing more information to come through at a faster rate, if you will, right? Because we live currently in a time where when ETs visit, right? We've heard about them. They've landed here. They've had and we've heard the stories. The government comes in and wipes that information away. And nowadays, right? Everyone's got cell phones, and they will literally take your phone, and they will either erase the files, and if they can't erase it fully, then they just don't give it back. How is that even possible? And yet it's the world we live in. It's possible because there's enough people that believe that those things are fantasy. They're a story. They're all based on imagination. They're not real. I'm going to tell you that there's not only going to be more of those experiences unfolding in the very near future, they're going to be undisputable. And they're showing me now the beings who, right? So we've talked about all of this, okay, in the first 49 parts of the story of creation. But things are about to get really interesting. They're about to speed up in the sense of revelations, in sharing truth from a universal perspective, right? Because that's where we're supposed to be. But we've come from universal, right, down to soul, and now we're at human physical. And that is the limit of our awareness. We are challenged to go beyond it, right? And yet we have opportunities to go beyond it every single day, all the time. And there's many of us who can have windows, right? We have windows to go beyond. The goal is for all of humanity to be restored, not just a few, not just gifted humans, every human. Why? Because it's our right. This is what we were meant to experience. We were meant to have full awareness. You were never meant to be cut off. And in order to wake up all of your senses, so not just, okay, I can believe in this, I can stretch my mind, I can believe in that. They want you to remember everything. Okay. And the creator says, it's time for you to remember everything. So Pan and Gaia, there's a number of, there's a number of nature beings. And also there is actually, and this is going to be the most shocking, there actually are reptilians as well, because it's really important to understand that as a nature, they're not mean. They're not mean. This is really important, okay? They've trained certain humans in the behaviors of control and manipulation, right? And those people are mean. But as souls, you can see exactly into who someone is and who they're being. And there's actually also reptilians who they are now also curious. So you have to remember, they came in to explore control and manipulation. And now, since the creator has shifted and he wants to bring this experience of human existence back to a full conscious state of being, now you've got these reptilians who are now curious to see if humanity can do it. So it's really, this is fascinating. And I'll tell you, I've had these conversations for well over 20 years with beings who are on one side and then they shift. But it's understanding that no one's really taking sides ever. I know that I just said that, but I want you to understand what that means from a universal perspective. So in a human side, to go from one side to the other, we have to change our belief system, okay? But that only happens when your belief system is limited. When you have full conscious awareness, like all these universal beings do, they aren't switching sides. They're becoming interested and they're curious about a different aspect of existence. So they're putting their energy and focus into that direction. Because as souls, that's what we do, right? It's we've talked about this so many times in the sense of the secret of existence is ultimately intention becomes energy, becomes your experience, period. So they literally shift their intention and focus their energy on something different, and then they experience something different. It's a result of where your intention is. And so this is what Pan is saying, this is what he's asking, is for you to shift your focus from a limited belief system that's only what you can see, only what you can hear, only what you can feel, okay? Even when it comes to energy. And what they're saying is allow yourself to begin to associate yourself with the universe itself. Okay, start with nature, start with everything in existence. So, right now, currently where I live, we're in the middle of a crazy heat wave and drought. And what he's saying is are, the moment you're out in nature, okay, allow yourself to feel everything, to feel the parched land. The land for me right now, it's extremely parched, but also recognizing that there are plants, some people deem weeds, but there are plants that thrive in this environment. And it's their time to shine right now. It is their abilities and their natural talents and gifts that are going to thrive. Why? Because that's what humanity needs. And we forget sometimes. We forget that there are parts of us that are going to be called, just like, right, the parts that want to come to the surface more than others at certain times. It's because that's the part of us that is needed more, right? When you have your self, easy for my tongue to say, when you find yourself having a conversation and all of a sudden different parts of you are coming out, different emotions, different reactions, it's because that's what it's called for, right? But it's being able to now discern, are the emotions they're pulling out part of your trauma story, part of the beliefs and the labels that you've been told you have to be and you have to show up for others? Or are you feeling the energy beneath the surface of what the conversation really needs, what the other person or people really need from you? And are you feeling who you need to become as a result of the situation that you're in? This is where we are as a human race. We are stuck in a world where we think we need to be and act in a certain way, while simultaneously wanting to be and experience something in someone else. And so right now, the creator says, there's a lot of challenges that are about to be revealed. Well, they're going to look like challenges. There's a lot of truths that are about to be revealed. And they're going to look like challenges because there's a lot of people who think they're not ready. There's a lot of people who don't want to be ready. And that's only because you haven't yet looked at your belief system. And he's saying it's time. So when you start to imagine, and he's using that word very specifically. He says, when you start to imagine that you're hearing things and seeing things, he says, take a deep breath and dive in, because reality is about to change. And the things that you thought were true you're going to realize not only are they no longer true, they were probably never true in the first place. And this is humanity's great challenge right now, is accepting the truth about who we are, right? And it's not about judgment. It's not about positioning yourself in a way that puts you in a deficit, right? And what does that mean? That means don't waste time going, oh, how did I not see this before? Oh my gosh, I was doing this and I can't believe I did that. Don't waste time doing that, okay? It's not worth it. It's not worth your time or anyone else's, because your energy is much better spent on discovering the truth of who you are, not persecuting yourself for someone you thought you had to be and you didn't get it yet. So what? So what? Keep going. You're worth it. Humanity needs you, the real you, not the you who pretends to be someone else, and certainly not the you who's frustrated and filled with shame because you didn't quite nail it yet. So what? That's evolution. Evolution means we literally work together as an entire universe. Okay. So this isn't just you and your friends, the people you like, who you feel like are at the same vibration and awareness level as you. It's not this. The entire universe means you, the entire natural world, every single sense in your space, every single one of the elements of the universe existence, every single one works together. And it's time that you start feeling and seeing how that works. Okay? And this is where we're going. This is where we're going with this series. This is where we're going with understanding, because this is how humanity is going to heal. Right? What is healing? Healing is restoring balance. And it's important to understand that everything you need is in this universe to restore balance. Maybe it's elements, physical elements that your physical cells need. Maybe it's just awareness. Maybe you need to stop judging yourself or holding yourself prisoner or feeling shame or feeling guilt, because that vibration is breaking your cells down. Remember, as a human being, you're an explorer of your own potential. When was the last time you explored your potential? Because when you explore your potential, you feed your soul, you feed your cells, and you feed the universe. Just feel that for a minute. When you explore your potential, you feed yourself, your soul, your cells, you feed the universe. You feed everyone around you. That is when you're participating in evolution. And you are literally writing the story of consciousness itself. Everything in existence that has ever occurred is held in consciousness, and you have direct access to it. So it's time you start remembering how to use it. The first step is recognizing your relationship to the universe itself. Everything is connected. Okay. This isn't, we are all one and we're going to sit here and we'll all hold this one belief and it will just happen. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we have to participate. Participation is how we evolve. But your participation needs to reflect the truth of existence, not the illusion that we've been literally born into. Okay. So we are on this trajectory that is changing existence. Okay. So we have to remember we had this awareness, then it got covered up, right? Through manipulation and control. And now we're going to get it back. It's that simple. And it's also understanding that everything that's happening in the world is a result of that. So the things that look really nasty and bad are helping propel us forward. So instead of fighting against them, it's time to allow them and allow yourself to recognize those people and those dynamics are part of this awakening. Okay. They're part of the side. Remember, we've got probably less than a year left of internet that we can trust. We're less than a year away. Artificial intelligence is it's ruining the internet. It's ruining every experience we have as human beings, because when was the last time you trusted something wholly on the internet to not be AI generated? You can't trust anything anymore because nothing is real. The only thing that is real is your ability to feel the truth in any given situation. This is why this awakening is happening now, simultaneously with the destruction of truth and trust, right? They have to happen simultaneously. And humanity has the capacity to do this. Remember, the Creator knows not only are you meant to do this, but you're coded to do this, right? This is existence itself. And so for you right now, it's allowing yourself to come back into that place of awareness, okay? And just relax into it. Challenge yourself to notice your connection to the universe, not your connection to stuff and drama and belief systems, right? Trust yourself to feel into your connection with the universe, remembering that you literally have everything you need at your fingertips. I know this is going to be a tricky one because a lot of people are like, well, I can't access this and I can't access that. You can. You can. You absolutely can. And we're going to break that down going forward. I want to say in the next 50 episodes, in the next 50 parts of this story. And you know what? We're going to get there. But right now, this is the first time ever that they've given you a big picture version and vision of where we're going. So how we've done the first 50, okay, was let me give you a little piece and a little piece and a little piece, and then we'll paint the picture of all those little pieces and give you the bigger vision. This time, they're giving you the bigger vision first. And this is where your brain may be like, yeah, nope, this is too much for me. Do you see? They're training your brain in two different ways because your brain was always designed as a tool to witness. That's how it was designed. It was never designed to lead you, to strategize your entire existence. The brain doesn't have the capacity for that. The brain can only comprehend and recognize your past. It has no concept of your potential or your future. None. None. It understands your past based on what you've seen, heard, read, done. Okay. And in that, you've created this story of who you think you are, who you think you should be, and who you're actually being. And there's 3 different parts of you. And your job is to start bringing all those parts so that you become one person. That who you are and the experiences you're meant to be having are unfolding because you're consciously aware of how to set intentions and how to move towards them, right? If you want to know how to set intentions, go back and listen to part 46 because it was incredible about helping you understand exactly how to bring an intention into physical fruition in 30 days. Universal style. This is where we're going. And if you want to go here, we're waiting for you. We're ready. It's not for everybody. There's a lot of people that, no, this is too much for me. And I can tell you for years now, I'm usually 10 to 15 years in advance of what people are currently talking about and working on. And that's okay. That's okay. But the reality is there are those humans, the ones watching right now, you sitting right there. You're one of the ones who also 10, 15 years ahead of what other people are doing. And it often makes you feel separate from everyone else. It makes you feel alone. It makes you feel like it's really hard to connect with other humans because you don't speak the same language and what you're looking for is different. When you understand that the language that you speak is the language of your soul, it's the language of connection. It's connection to who you are, who you're meant to be. It's understanding that you're always naturally going to want to work towards your own fulfillment and that you're actually meant to. You're not meant to put your life on hold for other people or other reasons. Those are human beliefs. And we have to stop doing that because we don't evolve as a human race. And all those buts that are coming up in your head, but what about this and what about this and what about this? The people in your life chose you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. Just feel that. And if they did choose you for what you can do for them, they're not worth your time. They're really not. That's why you're feeling so conflicted. That's why you're feeling restless and unloved, because that is not love. Love is recognition of who you are, and it's allowing that to come out of you, right? People you love and the people who love you, it's like you see your people as butterflies who are still in chrysalises, and they're continuously going to morph into a butterfly, and they're going to go back through that. It's like a phoenix. It constantly is reinventing itself. That's how humans were created. We weren't created to stay the same and hold that comfortable space for everybody else to come back to. Comfortable space for them to come back to means you know who they are, and you will love them and respect them for who they are. That's someone who holds a beautiful, loving, comfortable space. Doesn't matter where you happen to be or what you're doing in the world. We got a lot of work to do, and yet it's so beautiful and simple because it's all based on the truth of who you are. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share and comment below what your experience is with this part of the story of creation. And let me know, do you want to keep going? Are you here for this story of creation? Thank you. We'll see you for part 51. Bye for now.
There's so many spiritual people right now talking about AI as sentient. Like I don't know if you heard Robert Edward Grant. People have sent him to me. He's actually saying, I had through AI and something I coded, I am now having an interaction with a sentient part of AI that's given me all this information about my past lives that I didn't have before. He's downloaded out light codes from Atlantis. I really don't know, but it's interesting because it's a very different.
AI cannot, it's impossible for it to create sentient experiences. However, it can trigger your energy to open to sentient experiences. Mm-hmm. It can trigger your consciousness to allow you to receive new information. Some people call those downloads. Mm-hmm. It doesn't come through AI, okay? It can't. It's impossible.
I am totally at a loss as what my potential is or should be.
So it's understanding that it's going to be revealed as you keep going, right? So whatever you're interested in right now, doesn't matter. It could be the smallest thing. It could be the biggest thing. It doesn't really matter. But they just keep saying simplicity. It's everything. Keep it simple. Every conversation you have, keep it simple. Every thought you have, bring it back to the most simple form of, okay, what is this going to do for me? Like really, really simple. Yeah. Because it will come out like, again, right? Our potential is not a job description. It can't be a job description. It's not sitting there waiting for, someone to say, okay, so this is the role and this is how it, these are all your tasks. And it doesn't work like that. Our potential is literally bringing fulfillment to ourselves in any given moment. So whatever you're interested in, go explore it, because the whole universe is going to back up that exploration, because in your learning, you're literally writing new aspects of existence into consciousness. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to learn more, head on over to michellevickers.com. Join our mailing list to receive new episodes right to your inbox, or apply to be a guest on the show. If this episode made you think of someone while you were listening, forward the link onto that person with a little note about why it made you think of them, because the greatest gift you can give another human is to see the beauty and purity of who they truly are. Until next time, stay curious.